Real quick before we get started, we are going to be at a cEDH event called the Snake Pit that's hosted by Mamba Collectibles on January 24th, 2026 in Martinsburg, West Virginia. It's a 5-round Swiss tournament that cuts to top 16. It's proxy friendly as well, so I will link to the tournament down below. Be sure to follow the registration instructions and read up on the proxy policy in the event description, and we'll see you there. So let's get into the podcast.
That one has two audio visual clips, just so you are aware. Should I start and stop this one too? There's going to be one for this one and then two for that one, because I have to start and stop that one to try to adjust the white balance.
Oh yeah, start and stop, yeah.
So, but then now they won't be at the same time. Oh, that one's not even going now. So that's good.
All right, ready?
Ready. Something will be something.
We took no time at all to set up. I'm going to hijack the pre-intro of the podcast to say that I got married.
Married man.
That's
nice.
Fucking gnarly.
Congrats. How does it feel to be married?
Honestly, I think it feels different. Courtney doesn't think it feels different, but I think it feels a little different.
What does it feel like?
I get to say my wife, and I don't know if it's maybe just like that Seinfeld bit where everything's better when you get to say my wife in front of it.
It's much quicker than fiance or girlfriend. You save
for
tons
sure.
of time.
Which is really the ultimate part of this. Yeah, the efficiency.
You can use a shorter word now.
Yeah, exactly. So now I can be way more efficient over the course of the long term.
Yeah, you're going to save, over the course of years, you're going to save seconds, maybe even a minute of your life.
So like I'll be able to brush my teeth an extra time or something, you know? So I'm very excited about the prospects to come from this.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The pictures look, well, there's a picture maybe here.
There's a picture.
I
got a couple of them that will go. Yeah, very cool.
Anyway, you want to talk about magic?
Yeah, let's talk about magic. I guess.
This podcast is brought to you in part by Dragon Shield. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at the affiliate link down below for 5% off to help support the show.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dylan. This week we are talking about a recent announcement that Wizards made talking about Commander, where it's going, updates to the game changer list?
And the bracket system
as a whole. And the bracket system. That part, that's less. We're going to talk about the cEDH implications of this announcement, and that bracket stuff, that's nothing for us, you know?
Yeah, the things that cEDH cares about, the most recent announcement. I got to think of a good title for this podcast.
We'll get there, yeah. We're talking about what they talk about. There was a couple key points. We don't need to read like the whole article or whatever. You can read the article. You can go find it.
It's linked down below.
The couple of key points that I remember, can I go over them or do you have them written down? You just want to rattle them off?
No, you hit me with the stuff that you remember that's the most important to you.
Here's the stuff that I remember that's most important to me. The talk of, and this is not in the order that they presented it, but the talk of Thassa's Oracle and Rhystic Study being banned was one of the topics. We're going to talk about that. The topic of hybrid mana costs being allowed to be in either of the decks. So Boros Reckoner can go in a mono white deck or mono red deck or any deck with red or any deck with white, not needing both. That's the option I choose to example. That's the one it'd be. Those are the two main things that I'm remembering off the top. Then there was the change to the bracket system. There was the change to what cards are on the little pretend ban list. And was that it?
That's mostly it. Yeah, the hybrid mana rule, the brackets, and the Thassa's Oracle Rhystic Study thing. Yeah, what do you want to start with?
I feel like the Thassa's Oracle Rhystic is the most prevalent to us.
That's the most prevalent one, yeah. So Thassa's Oracle is 2 blue.
I've been talking for a while. What are your initial thoughts on should we ban Thassa's Oracle and or Rhystic Study in Commander as a whole?
All right, so I'm going to say no, I don't like the idea of bans in general. Normally, I like to play the most powerful things, and I don't necessarily think that banning either of these cards necessarily creates a better environment for cEDH as a whole. Like, we were kind of talking the other day, there's like already other things that already do what Rhystic Study kind of does. Yeah. So, like, even if we get rid of it, there's nothing to say that like the things that it does aren't still happening.
Right, yeah. There's tons of other cards like Mystic Remora and Archivist of Ogma. When your opponent does something, you draw a card, and I think they haven't showed any signs of slowing down on printing that type of card. They're continuously coming out with new fairy masterminds and new little frog that could.
Polywog Prodigy.
Polywog Prodigy.
That is the name of it, though. The little frog that could.
It could draw a couple cards.
But it never does.
It doesn't, but it could.
It's the really sad version of that story where the train slides down the hill and realizes apologizes. Oh, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I kind of agree there about the Rhystic Study in particular. That like, yes, Rhystic Study is by far the best version of all of these effects, but overall, I don't think it would change the gameplay style of cEDH. We would still be playing a bunch of these cards. It just wouldn't be Rhystic Study. It'd
The
be
main
lesser
difference
ones.
with Rhystic Study is that it just costs more mana because it triggers off of everything, whereas technically all of these other ones that we're mentioning can be played around.
It makes them a lot more fun in my opinion, to play with and around, because you can like choose to play your creatures when there's a Mystic Remora out, or you can choose to not search your library when Archivist of Ogmist out, or do those things before those cards could come out. Like that adds an element to it. Whereas Rhystic Study, the strategy is pay one more, which there is strategy there. Develop your mana early so that you can pay later, or just play a deck that ignores it, but there's a little bit less because it just is everything. It taxes everything.
Do you think we'll get a Rhystic Study that triggers off of only creatures?
I hope so.
Like a Polywog Prodigy that's
why not?
for only creatures. Because we never get them. It's
Right.
always, we've only gotten like Esper Sentinel, Polywog Prodigy, and like
exactly.
things that are like that.
I hope so.
That's a whole other podcast topic.
We have talked about in the past that like we have talked about like being okay with the Rhystic Study ban. Like if they do ban that card, realistically, I don't care what they do. They can ban it or not ban it. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna play whatever they tell me I can play. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference to me.
If I have to choose one of them, it would have to be Rhystic Study.
Yeah, definitely.
Because
yeah.
again, like we're saying, the card's so replaceable, and there is a factor with like cEDH tournaments where you are taking up time every time you have to say Rhystic Study trigger, and the more Rhystic Studies that people have, the more times they have to trigger, and more times you have to actively decide if you're actually going to pay for it or not. It does end up making the games longer, and in a world where we're deciding that it's not good to have the last turn of a cEDH game take 40 minutes as we're in time, I think we're coming around to the idea that, okay, maybe it is better that there's like one less of this effect in the tournament format, but that's not to say that that's a more fun experience for like the channel.
Yeah, or just like Magic players in general. Like I think Rhystic Study realistically is a great way to like pull yourself out of mulligans, and it's a great way to claw onto something if all of your other plans have failed, but it's arguably the most powerful card in the format. So like I get that one. I don't want it to necessarily be banned, but I would understand that one a little bit. The Thassa's Oracle one, I have some personal qualms with, I think.
I would too.
And like I said before, when I say personal qualms, not really. I don't think what it'll do to the format is a positive thing. I don't think it'll do what people think it'll do, because here's my thoughts on the Thassa's Oracle. From an insider's perspective on cEDH, realistically, it's like, it's not the be all end all. Like it is the most efficient 2-card combo we have, but if you look at the best decks in the format, Blue Farm technically, yes, does use it, but realistically, I see Blue Farm win a lot more with Underworld Breach than with Thassa's Oracle. By the time they get to Thassa's Oracle, it's just to show here it is, you know what I mean? If Thassa's Oracle gets banned, I don't think Blue Farm is touched. I think realistically, they just cut 3 of those cards from their deck, and they get to just do the Underworld Breach thing and actually be in a better situation, because they're not going to lose to the out of nowhere turn 1, turn 2 Thassa's Oracle Demonic Constellation that they used to lose to, which was probably an issue for Blue Farm, right? So Blue Farm doesn't really get touched. Kinnan doesn't care at all. Sisay doesn't care at all. Kind of some of us play it, but realistically, Sisay doesn't care at all.
Like right now is when like Sisay players are kind of experimenting with it.
But realistically, Sisay doesn't care at all. Rogthras doesn't care at all. Magda doesn't care at all. Atali doesn't care at all. So none of these top tier decks, they don't care at all, and they just get to remain in the top tier. And then what happens is, rather than other strategies cropping up to replace Thassa's Oracle, they won't. Those decks will just be still at the tier that they're at, and the decks that we have at tier 1 will remain there, except we'll lose a lot of the Esper decks, all of the Timney Malcolms. Some of the weird Grixis decks, like Rogsai is one of the tier 1 decks that we haven't talked about yet. Rogsai does get a little bit affected by the Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation thing. That's a deck that would use that to win early a lot of the times.
And that's because there's no intuition pile in that deck, right? Like,
so
because
Breach is a little bit less reliable.
Yeah, it doesn't set up Breach to be a 1-card win condition, because you have another 1-card win condition in your deck in Gifts Ungiven and Intuition. And I don't even think you even need Gifts Ungiven in a lot of these decks, but you probably would start to run it if you got Thoracle banned, because now you have 3 slots in your deck that are freed up at least.
And realistically in Rogsai, I'm winning with Underworld Breach probably 7 or 8 at the time still. Anyway,
yeah, like
you know what I mean?
You're still tutoring for Underworld Breach, but it's just less easy to set up because you have 2 fewer instant speed tutors
Right.
for your Underworld Breach.
Yeah, so I don't realistically think a Thassa's Oracle ban would it wouldn't do anything to make the format more diverse. I think it would make it less diverse. It would leave the best decks in the format untouched, and a lot of the almost good enough decks, like the Esper decks and some of the Grixis decks and any of the blue-black decks that were just kind of okay enough because they still had Thoracle Consults, all of those decks go away, and I don't realistically think many decks would replace them because as we've learned in the past, that's just not really what happens. You know what I mean? There's not that many new decks that come out of nowhere when things are banned. Realistically, the decks that were there stay, and maybe there's one or two other shifts.
Yeah, this is what happened to me with Omnath when Jeweled Lotus got banned, and I thought, oh, now these 4-pip commanders might be better, but they don't gain anything from other people losing out on something, right? You're still stuck with the tools that you have, and now Tim the Malcolm, I'd have to take apart. Tim the Malcolm already has no win conditions because there's no infinite mana outlet in the command zone, so there's no reason for me to run an infinite mana combo. I'm just trying to assemble Thassa's Oracle either with my own deck or with yours because I get to play Mnemonic Betrayal and Praetor's Grasp. But I can't use Mnemonic Betrayal and Praetor's Grasp to set up Underworld Breach in the same way because a lot of times I need Mnemonic Betrayal to use a tutor that someone else had to find me my Thassa's Oracle.
Right, yeah.
So it creates these scenarios where the only two Esper decks you can play now are Marnius because there's an infinite mana loop in the command zone, and now instead of just cleanly going I can play Thassa's Oracle and win, you have to go, well, here's my loop of Swan Songing my Time Twister, and then that way I can make infinite birds. I can't win this turn, but I'll pass and I'll win next turn.
Sephiroth, right? The new Sephiroth, is that what it's called?
Oh, because I guess you can now drain.
There's now a drain in Marnius.
There's now a drain in Marnius that you can do, but Tivit now can only win with Time Civ, which now makes it really weird because now you don't have a way to win if you're on the last turn in a tournament,
which was already an issue for Tivit. Is
right?
If you're the tournament's about to go over and you're on the final turn, you can't win with Time Civ because you're taking extra turns and the game would be over then.
So now you have a 0% chance to win because you just can't set up another win, right?
There's no other option.
There's no other option. This is your only combo. So you could really only play commanders that have outlets in the command zone, but Thrasios is the best one of those, and it's already being played in 4 of the best decks in the format.
Right.
In every color combination that it possibly can see play in. So I agree. I don't think that it ends up making any bad decks better.
It just makes Blue Farm better.
It just makes Blue Farm better. Yeah, exactly. It's not Laboratory Maniac is so replaceable for Thassa's Oracle. What makes Thassa's Oracle so good is that it is hard to interact with. And I know that's the biggest complaint. And if it's not a problem in casual, if it's not going to be a problem in casual and it's only a ban that we want to do for cEDH purposes, there should be no reason that we should be complaining about it being hard to interact with because that should draw you to want to play Thassa's Oracle yourself.
Especially if we're concerned with Rhystic Study with the tournaments going long. Well, Thassa's Oracle is how we keep the tournaments from going long.
Exactly, yeah. But
Turn 3 wins are good, actually.
But Thassa's Oracle isn't even how the game actually ends. The game technically ended because of Necropotence and Born Upon the Wind. You should have interacted with them way sooner than by the time the Thassa's Oracle came up. So the Thassa's Oracle just cleans up the game nicely so that you don't have to have 15 other cards. You don't have to have Gitaxian Probe and then set up a scenario where that is a card draw, but how does that work with Orcish Bowmaster? Do you get pinged to death before you win the game, or is winning the game off of drawing a card a state-based action?
If you have an empty library and you cast Gitaxian Probe and your opponent has an Orcish Bowmaster and you're at 1 life,
because you paid 2 life for your Gitaxian Probe at 3.
Oh, okay. I think you'd still win the game because when you draw the card and then there'd be an Orcish Bowmaster trigger on the stack.
It's a replacement effect, right? When you draw a card.
How is Laboratory Maniac worded? Yeah, I think it's a if. It's a if you were to draw a card and you have no cards in your library, you win the game instead.
If
so that's
it's
a replacement
an if, then that's a replacement effect, which means that it doesn't use the stack.
It does use the stack, but it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't. It's not a trigger, right? I guess it doesn't. Yeah, I guess it doesn't use the stack
because you have to respond to Gitaxian Probe.
Right.
You can't respond after the Gitaxian Probe.
Yeah. Once you've drawn the card, you have won the game. Losing the game would be a state-based action, and you win it instead. So the Orcish Bowmaster trigger is still in the stack when you win the game, I think.
Yeah, it's an if clause. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't use the stack because it's an if clause. Yeah.
To reiterate, we've been talking about how this would be a bad ban, but realistically, I don't give a shit. If it does get banned, woohoo, the format shakes up a little bit, and I can take it out of my deck.
Care. I'm still
Tali
gonna...
doesn't care.
Yeah.
Siste doesn't care.
Honestly, I care a little bit because now I don't flip into Tainted Pact.
Which was good.
Which was honestly really good for
true.
me. Yeah. And like I've had times where like Thassa's Oracle sets up a really good next to Tali for me too. So like they're both good cards for me to flip into, but they're only going to be replaced by good cards.
Right.
So realistically, I'm not too sad about it. I guess if they're replaced with Laboratory Maniac, I am sad about it.
Yeah, because then you're flipping into lab mana. What the fuck does this do?
Oh, I guess it's 4 mana to food chain. But I would like to note that someone from the Commander Advisory Group is that
what it's called now?
I don't know.
That entity
that is talking to wizards and advises them on Commander things posted on the cEDH subreddit that I don't think they're seriously considering banning these cards.
Okay, good. This is just for chatter and talking.
This is just like to get an idea of what people want. I'm trying to see where this was because I'm on the subreddit now.
Good luck.
But it was Rebel. It was Rebel who posted that.
Cool. Well, I mean, realistically, I kind of hope they don't. I think overall bans are not good. We've talked about, like I said before, I reiterate, we have talked about if you're going to ban one card, Rhystic Study is the card. It's the strongest card in the format. It warps all the games. It's what you mulligan for. It is the best card in the format. But that doesn't mean it should be banned. We're allowed to have good cards. I like good cards.
Yeah, me too. And I still like that it gets you back from being behind, too.
That's
like you can
that's
mulligan to 3 and have like a start that is turn 1 or turn 2 Rhystic Study, and you can still come back and, have a chance to win that game.
Anyway, whatever. It's nothing anyway yet. This is all just hypothetical.
This is all just hypothetical and speculation and things that people are talking about.
Should we talk about some more hypotheticals of what if the hybrid mana thing would change?
Yo, they should do this, right?
You think so? You like this one?
Only because it would be fun, right?
Yeah,
and it would.
Manamorphose goes in a lot more decks.
Yeah, honestly, Gruul becomes like a way better color combination because like the best cards for cEDH that you would get to play in either green or red, like they're all Gruul cards. Guttural Response, which is great for like Selvala or Magda to now be able to have another version of Veil of Summer for one thing, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's not great, but
it's not great. No, yeah, but Vexing Shusher is probably great. Especially in like something like Lumra, a deck that already makes a ton of mana and would love to have some extra assurance that its stuff is uncounterable.
Oh yeah, honestly, like Vexing Shusher in Lumra would probably be pretty great.
Good.
Yeah.
I think Vexing Shusher in I don't know if Magda cares that much, to be honest. Magda doesn't.
Most of Magda's stuff's already uncounterable.
Yeah,
most of what you're doing is like a creature or an activation.
Maybe worth trying or something. Would a Tali try? Oh, never mind. That's stupid because it already could and it doesn't.
And I cut it, yeah.
Who else could try Vexing Shusher?
I mean, Blue Farm can now. If Blue Farm really wants to play Vexing Shusher, they can now.
Would that maybe Blue Farm would Kinnan?
Kinnan could play it, yeah.
Right? Kinnan makes a ton of mana. Any of these decks that make a ton of extra mana.
It just kind of like helps you force through in a humongous mid-range pile. So I feel like Thrasios Tymna could play it now.
Yeah.
Any deck that's red or green could play it. So like everyone has access to this basically.
Yeah, Vexing Shusher would be helpful. I think Manamorphose is the big one that would realistically see the most play. Giving Rogsai access to Manamorphose would be pretty huge. Giving Izzet decks like Ral, oh my god. Ral has already been kind of a heater this past month or two, maybe a little bit more than that. I feel like it's been doing a lot of great stuff. Ral, this would be like the most insane card ever in Ral. For 1 mana, make 2 mana of any color and draw a card is just so crazy good in a Storm deck. Any of the Krark decks, like Krark Sakashima, would love to play this. You know what I mean? This would be an awesome include in that. The Manamorphose thing, I think, would be a huge one in all the Grixis decks.
I mean, even non-green decks that run Burgi, like this is just like also super good with a lot of other cards that you might want to be playing in your 99 anyway.
Good with Vivi.
Yeah, great in Vivi. Yeah, if you can get extra value off of like having basically a free spell in your deck, drawing like an extra card, or I don't know, like just the mana fixing in general is super helpful in an Ad Nauseam or a Necropotence deck.
I've been playing it in Terra, and realistically, it's actually been good. I really like it.
I feel like using it in Green Goblin is also kind of nice. Like you can use it to.
It's cheaper.
It's cheaper from your graveyard, but it also helps you cast your Necropotence off of like a Volcanic Island
or Jeska's Will mana or something like that.
Dude, the Jeska's Will mana or the Rite of Flame mana, when you just like need the other sources of mana, but you have so so easy ways to make not blue mana.
Yeah, and if Thassa gets banned and we have Laboratory Maniac back, we need those cantrips. So
That's also true. Yeah. So I'll take both these things at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Outside of that, though, what other cards really are there from the hybrids? I feel like those are the main ones, like Vexing Shisher, Manamorphose, Guttural Response.
Those are the best ones in my book.
The Deathrite Shaman, unfortunately, doesn't work because there is a full-blown black mana symbol and a full-blown green mana symbol, so that's a Golgari card still through and through.
What's the name of that leyline that's really good in Modern Zoo?
Leyline of the Guild Pack?
That is a mono green card now.
Yeah.
So every single deck that plays green can play Leyline of the Guild Pack.
We were having a hard time figuring out what decks that card would be able to go in now, but I think with the conclusion that we came to, and we're pretty confident in this, is that any deck that has green in it could play this Leyline card now.
Because every single pip is a hybrid green.
Right, but it must play green in the deck because every single pip is a hybrid green.
So like a green-blue deck could play it.
Right, but not just a mono blue deck because there's so many ones that are just green pips or just red or something.
Exactly, yeah. It's green-white, green-blue, green-black, and green and the other color.
That would do, I think, roughly nothing for cEDH. There's one deck that kind of plays
funny,
it, right?
yeah.
It's just interesting and strange. I would love if stuff like Murderous Redcap would see a little bit play now. That's like an interesting like type of combo piece, but realistically, I don't know that it really would.
Is Beseech the Queen anything now? Because
yeah.
it's technically a 6-mana colorless just tutor in any deck.
I think so. Would Luma play 6 generic mana, find any card? Probably not. I don't know. But like realistically,
That is something it could do.
it could. Like decks that are like in like big mana but like low colors and don't have a ton of tutor options, this could be an option. I don't know if like Urza would want this or Gaia's Cradle decks in general, I think would want this. Like Rogthrast would Rogthrast play a
6-mana
No.
go get anything when you already have Cradle?
Maybe that's bad. I think that's
Instead
bad.
of flipping through your deck.
Yeah,
Like 8 mana though. I mean, think about it that way, right? Like 8 mana with Gaia's Cradle is look at like 4 cards and you get to pick 2 of them, right? So it's like a weird kind of impulse that you're doing.
Yeah.
But for 6 mana, for less than that, you get to go find any card and just clean up the game way faster.
And especially, yeah, I don't know, man. And
It might actually be pretty good in Rogthrast specifically, just because of how much mana it can make so quickly.
not good in Atali, or is it good in Atali? Like you can flip into it.
I could just flip into it. It's just like a tutor in the
Just
deck.
another tutor, and like
It's a bad tutor.
would you like
is the
theoretically
problem.
like if you had a mana confluence, you could still play the black mana for one of the pips and make it cheaper, even in Atali, right?
No, that's true. Yeah, because your land, like those lands.
Tap for 1 mana of any color.
So like, or like if I'm not on Exotic Orchard anymore, but like Exotic Orchard, or I am on Starting Town, so something like that.
Yeah, but not Command Tower. That
but
wouldn't
not
work.
Command Tower.
Or
Notably.
like Arcane Signet wouldn't work.
Correct. Yeah.
It would have to be able to fully make the black mana.
I mean, if I flipped into someone else's talisman, which is also like something that happens, like
Feels like that might be worth it in Atali to try. If this does happen. Again,
If this does happen,
This is
yeah.
another hypothetical. We have no idea. This is just they're looking to get the read on people. So if anyone, Wizards, if you're watching, this is what we think.
why would this be bad? Like why is this bad? Because the cards are designed so that they could be played in either color without them having to be exclusive to one of those colors.
My initial gut is that it kind of like breaks like some aspect of the spirit of Commander of like you can only play things that share a color with the thing, but realistically stuff like Blind Obedience that has Extort already kind of bends that rule in my opinion, even though the black and white pip is part of the reminder text, so technically it's not part of the color identity. You can still play Blind Obedience in a mono white or mono black deck, so we already kind of bend this rule in my opinion. So if we're already there, might as well. But that would be my gut reaction of like why this would be bad is like part of Commander is you can only play cards that are in the color identity of your commander. That's like sort of the pull initially to a lot of casual players, at least. So like it does kind of like bend that a little bit, but like my personal thought is I don't care I don't give a shit. But I think that would be the negative, is that like it breaks that essence of Commander sort of.
Honestly, if we're talking about it now and we're going to decide that we don't want it as a community, I would also hope that as a community we can go, all right, Blind Obedience is only an Orzhov card.
I agree. I think it kind of should be. Although I like the card Blind Obedience. To me, that's only in black and white.
It is kind of bullshit that
Right.
that's something that's allowed. And like in casual, I would never play Blind Obedience unless I'm in a black-white deck.
Right.
But in cEDH, I will take advantage of the fact that that's something that I can do.
You know another thing that's bullshit?
What?
Urborg being able to be played in non-black decks. That's already currently allowed, which to me is in the same general area.
You can play Urborg in non-black decks?
Yeah.
Could I put it in a Tali?
You could. You could put it in a Tali. You could put it in some sort of green-white Elish Norn decks.
Lumro
or something.
actively wants it then, right?
I think
Because there's
so.
so many times now when I play Lumra where I'm getting back too many fetch lands and I don't have enough fetchable lands, and like I want something to be able to do with them. And sometimes Yavimaya is somewhere else and I can't find it. But if I have a second thing that could make those lands do something, even though it's making me colorless mana.
You being so unaware of this makes me a little bit uncertain if this is true, but I thought I was like 100% positive that, because all Urborg says is all lands are swamps. So it doesn't have the mana symbol on it. And what swamps do is part of like the internal reminder text of the card. It's not actually on the card. I know there's like weird like Elish Norn things that do something with like turning all of your creatures into like it helps, I don't know, in some sort of Elish Norn thing, I think. So I think that's where I saw this from. I really hope I'm right about this. Am I right?
All of the threads on it are so old.
Oh no, yeah.
But like I'm seeing things that say correct. It can be in any commander deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can throw it in any deck you want. You can't with Cabal Coffers because Cabal Coffers has the symbol.
Has the symbol. It taps for a black mana. Urborg doesn't
yeah.
tap for a black mana. It doesn't have that activated ability. It's a swamp, and swamps inherently have the ability that they can tap for mana. For a black mana. So I think you can play it in Lumra, and realistically, I think maybe you should.
Wow, yeah, I think that's just might be something that doesn't come up a lot, but
Yeah. You used mine the other day where you had like 3 extra fetch lands that you couldn't find force for, and I had an Urborg in play when I was playing Gwenum, and you were able to use them.
that was huge for me. Yeah, so I think again, you already play Yavimaya, but maybe a second one's still pretty good.
Maybe, yeah.
Because if it's in play with Yavimaya, it's just Overgrown Tombs then. Everything's Overgrown Tomb. And who cares if it's all Overgrown Tomb? That's great then. I don't know. That's something. To me, that means that the hybrid mana rule is even more bullshit, and you should play Kitchen Finks in whatever mono white deck you want to play it
Yeah,
in.
I kind of think so too. Even if it does like bend the rules, I like that. I like that like certain cards skirt. Like that's what Magic is. Like when it boils down to it is a game of rules. Every card changes the rule very slightly.
I love giving people more choices of cards to put in their decks than limiting. And I know that you say, well, restrictions breed creativity. Well, that's great. Well, then if you want to put that restriction on yourself, go ahead and put that restriction on yourself. But I would like the ability to make maybe other commanders viable, because now Murderous Redcap is something that I can do in my mono black Yawgmoth deck, so that way I have a way better way to win the game. Instead of having to play like some really bad persist creatures, I can just like use this on its own, so that way doesn't it just like combo with Yawgmoth on its own or some
could
bullshit?
be something, yeah.
I don't know if that's exactly. I don't remember exactly
You might
how
need
that works. But
you might need a way to gain life, because I think Yawgmoth
maybe
pays
you'll
life
just
to
drain.
sacrifice.
Maybe you'll just die instead.
But I see where you're going. Where like, yeah, if there's ways to enhance decks that are less good, which is what this overall would do, I don't think realistically it would give like the best cards we talked about. Manamorphose is a powerful card, but it's just a cantrip, which we already do not play in the format. I guess it's a ritual too, so like it'll see play, but I don't think it'll shift the scheme of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's one card in your deck, right? So it's going to be good, but it's not going to be like
it's not a combo piece.
You're not tutoring for it like Rhystic Study every game. Yeah, it's just like a good effect.
Right, yeah, definitely.
And it gives them way more things they can print in the future, right? Like we can give them more options for things. I don't know.
So I think overall our consensus is do not take away, give. Don't ban the cards.
Don't take away,
but give the
only
hybrid.
give. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
but with the caveat of like, I don't give a shit. Whatever they do,
yeah,
I'm gonna play cEDH as it is. I don't care. Will you keep the hybrids? Not keep the hybrids? It's not realistically. It's not something that I'm gonna think about after we start recording. I don't care.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna have fun figuring out what else is gonna happen. But realistically, I'm just gonna think about Italy and how I can win as fast as possible.
Right. Yeah. It's just whatever the tools I have access to. I'm interested in using those tools. Whether you say my tool is a hammer or a screwdriver, I don't care. Just may I have my tool, please?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, maybe we should have started with this next thing then, because I'm gonna tell you what cEDH is right now.
Oh boy.
This is what cEDH is,
Oh,
everybody.
the new bracket discussion.
Yeah, for the new bracket discussion. Players expect that decks are meticulously designed to battle in the cEDH metagame with the ability to win quickly or generate overwhelming resources, often built using existing cEDH knowledge, tools, and/or deck list. The win conditions to be optimized for efficiency and consistency, and gameplay to be intricate and advanced with razor-thin margins for error. Players prioritize victory over all else, and games could end on any turn with no deck restrictions.
I would say this is true, right? I think there is, in my opinion, a strange overemphasis on the fact that cEDH decks are what cEDH decks were. I feel like that's what they're saying, whereas like the card decisions are based on what has been previously decided, right? Was it to say like about that? Can we go back to that one line?
Often built using existing cEDH knowledge, tools, and or deck lists.
And I think I get like the point of that was just to like say that like
net decking's okay.
Net decking is okay, and just because your deck is very strong doesn't mean it's a cEDH deck. It has to be built based around what the other decks are. You're building with the metagame in mind. You're building because it's good against these certain decks that you are aware of.
Like we get to play Praetor's Grasp because we expect someone else to be playing the win condition we need to play.
Exactly. Yeah. So I get why they're saying, but for some reason that part was like weird to me. It's like, why is there so much of an emphasis on that? But I think I actually do understand why they emphasize that, because I think it's important.
It just like helps with like some of the card choices that you're making for very specific things. Like you run way more clones because you know that every single deck is playing Dockside and not every red deck is playing Dockside, and you'll see at least one deck. Whereas like there's not necessarily like an expectation of what you're going to run into in bracket 4 in theory. Now, like if you have a dedicated group that always plays together and you're always seeing the same decks, then yeah, like you're going to be able to metagame against yourselves then still too. But I think that this is a pretty good job of like defining what cEDH is and, you know, giving you a pretty decent expectation of to what cEDH players are going to do and say in a game.
Yeah.
Maybe not say.
It says something about the decks looking to win as quickly as possible or gain unsurmountable advantage or something like that. And I think that's important that like it's a both thing, because when we talk about the bracket 4 thing, I think there are some cEDH decks that would technically fit in the bracket 4 description that they currently have. Like a slower deck, like that's not trying to win. And like there are cEDH decks that do not plan to win the game until turn 4.
Okay, so I'm going to read bracket 4.
Yeah.
Because maybe this will help me understand it, because I don't understand bracket 4. So players expect decks to be lethal, consistent, and fast, designed to take people down as fast as possible. They do not adhere to the cEDH metagame. Win conditions to vary from archetype to archetype, but can end the game quickly and suddenly. Okay, now I'm understanding a little bit better. And the gameplay to be explosive and powerful, featuring huge threats and efficient disruption to match, and to play at least 4 turns before anyone wins or loses, but there's no deck restrictions. So like to me, they are trying to establish a clear difference between optimized and cEDH. Whereas like if you bring a cEDH deck into a pot of 4s, I think it should be clear that there is a cEDH deck at the table. Whereas all these 4s can still be playing a lot of the same cards that cEDH decks are playing, like Rhystic Study, Force of Will, and things like that. There's still an emphasis on cards that are going to be themed and synergistic more towards their not necessarily cEDH metagame focused commanders that still have the commander emotion part, the personal connection part to your commander aspect to it too, where like you can play your Gisa and Giralf deck to its highest possibility while still playing Chrome Mox, Rhystic Study, and probably, you know, this is where we get into maybe not Praetor's Grasp, but also maybe not like Mindbreak Trap, because there's not the expectation that there's going to be huge counter wars, or maybe like because we're not metagaming, we're not expecting that we need to stop a big ad nauseum turn or something like that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think also I'm realizing that there is a specific sentence in bracket 4 that says these commanders are not cEDH commanders. Where that gets kind of tricky is like,
they don't adhere to the cEDH metagame.
Yeah, that gets a little bit tricky because like who says exactly what the cEDH metagame is, because it's always moving and changing. We have an idea based on percentages, but like, is Slicer in the cEDH metagame? Not really. It doesn't have any real tournament results, but we do think of it in the ballpark of cEDH because it won one tournament and it's like almost playable. So I think there is gray area here, but like that's okay. We've talked about this before. That's what the discussion part is for.
Yeah, and this is more this is more about like the discussion about the player's expectations for the game, whereas the intent behind the deck is also completely different, because that's where we get into where technically every single commander is a cEDH commander, but some of them are just bad in the cEDH metagame.
Right.
And that's where we get to, well, if you're intending to play it against other cEDH decks, then I can't say that your deck is not cEDH. You just might have way more pet cards than I think you should be for a truly optimal cEDH deck to be in the format. But like optimized is where you're also going to see like, well, you still are in blue-black and you could play Thassa's Oracle. You just might not play Thassa's Oracle. But there, at the same time, there's technically nothing stopping you from running Thassa's Oracle Demonic Consultation. You can do that on turn 5.
Right.
There's nothing stopping you from it.
Right. In your bracket 4 deck, according to this. Besides the fact that if someone says like, hey, that seems like a cEDH meta combo, which it is the cEDH meta combo. So does that to me, that means that it probably shouldn't be in your bracket 4 deck.
But it says there's no deck restrictions, so I'm allowed to do it.
You're right.
So like so you're not allowed to say anything. We're in bracket 4.
Like,
I'm allowed to do it.
Wizards said right here
we
on line
said that
2.
it was okay because there's no deck restrictions, right?
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Technically, you could do it in bracket 3. My only game changer is Thassa's Oracle, and I'm playing Demonic Consultation and Tainted Pact.
Does it say there's no deck restrictions in bracket 3?
It says there's 0 to 3 game changers.
And that's all it says on restrictions.
Oh, it does say no 2-card combos before turn 6.
Oh, so on turn 6 or 7?
Oh, but now it says game enders, lockouts, or infinites.
Ever or before turn 6?
I don't know. I'm going to assume before turn 6 because that's what it says.
It's like all in the same line, right? If we're going by magic
you
rules,
can lock out the game on turn 6.
If it's all in the same line, that means it's one trigger, so it's not 2 separate triggers, it's one.
And it's only core decks, bracket 2, that says no 2-card combos, game enders, lockouts, or infinites.
I also want to emphasize, I think the purpose of this list is not for people to try to like do what we're doing right now and nitpick it and find ways to get excuses to play the most powerful thing in each bracket. That's not not the goal. The goal is so that people have honest communication about how powerful their deck is, and I think it does do that pretty well.
I genuinely don't think people are doing this to you when you go to a Magic Con either.
Yeah, but like as competitive players, I think that's just naturally where our brains go of like, well, what's the strongest thing I can do within the guidelines you've given me?
Yeah.
That's what our first thought is.
And to me, that's the funniest thing to think of too, is like, how could this go wrong immediately?
Right, yeah.
It's like, oh, I still get to play Thassa's Oracle in my bracket 3 deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Phenomenal.
Although bracket 4 doesn't make a ton of sense to me, I do like the fact that this is unrestricted. I have an AC deck, a casual lands deck that for the longest time has been only cards that are lands or say the word lands on them. But now I kind of want to have a true bracket 4 deck. I want to put powerful cards in AC. I want to put things that I otherwise wouldn't that still fit the theme and are still lands matter shit, but not like I don't have Soul Ring in there. Maybe I'll put Soul Ring in my casual AC deck because there's like a clear spot for it in casual, and why am I restricting myself further in all of my decks? So I do like that they're like changing like how things, because it makes me think about like what I want to do for my deck. So I do like the change to explain the decks and stuff, but for cEDH, none of that really matters.
Well, my favorite part about this for cEDH is that the more that we expand upon this, the better of an introduction we will have for people who are getting into cEDH, who are like a little bit better at communicating to beginners than I am in particular.
Explain, what do you mean?
Like, because this is a much better way to present information than my words at communicating sometimes can be, right? Like,
Which is interesting because you are technically a professional communicator.
That's why I heavily edit what I say. Yes, exactly. But like, this is like a great write-up now that like you can just point to someone, and you don't have to make them watch a 40-minute play to win video where I stumble through my words and try to figure out what I'm trying to say. I'm not giving myself enough credit. I know that, but at the same time, like this is a nice document to have, and the more that we expand upon player intent and what you can expect in the game, I think that the better this would be. I think maybe the only thing that would give you a better understanding of what cEDH like now is if it also said that players expect that you're willing to partake in a dialogue to help make the game winnable for yourself at a certain time, while also realizing that players don't have your best interest, or like some way to understand that there is going to be politicking involved, so that way you don't go in having the thought that everyone has your best interest in mind and they're all trying to help you when like you paid $5 for your tournament, so like I'm also trying to win the game, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to teach you interactions and how they work.
Of course, yeah.
I spent the past 5 minutes saying the wrong things.
No, I think you said the right thing. It's funny. I just talked to Cyrus, our editor. Shout out Cyrus, you're incredible. Well, our editor for the gameplay. He helps a lot with the gameplay. Cubby is the podcast helper. Anyway, I said, Cyrus, anytime anyone makes an out loud threat assessment, can you make sure to leave that in? Because I am now counting that as a game action. Every time you say, Rhystic Study is powerful, that now plants a seed in everyone's head that we should pay attention to Rhystic Study. Every time you say, oh, wow, Manifold in turn 1 from the Gwendolyn, Manifold on turn 1 from Gwendolyn, Gwendolyn is pretty good. No, not Gwen, right? Gwen Venom, whatever that card's called.
Gwendolyn.
Just saying that out loud, it lets everyone know, ooh, if I have a mental misstep, maybe I should use it here when I didn't really want to before.
Yeah, I think that's a very important aspect of CEDH, and I would love to be able to like portray in that way, because that does
Yeah, that's a game action.
It
You just took a
changes
game
everything.
action.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it really
yeah,
does.
saying that one thing, 6 is an awkward number. Like that does like changes everyone's thought about things, and that also like explains why we do plays then too. So like, yeah, we'll still jut in and explain stuff, but like I think that might also like kind of give you another expectation of like, this is what our mindset was now. Now we're thinking about the Rhystic Study more. We're thinking about what can this vampiric tutor do? Should I actually mental misstep this?
Yeah.
Or are you just trying to bait me into doing that so that your sensei stop can resolve and then use that?
Right, yeah. And this is kind of still like, I don't want to say recent because it's been a while now. It's been like over a year, I think, that CEDH has kind of like made this giant shift, I would say. But it is different from when we started CEDH. CEDH wasn't like that before. And now I think more so than ever, yeah, like just like talking it's a game action.
That would be my only recommendation for the cEDH bracket 5 explanation, is just like adding that as a player expectation so that we know that politics is still around in cEDH.
It's tough to add that like your opponents don't have your best interest in mind, because like sometimes they do. Some aspects of casual CEDH, they really do have your best interest in mind.
Yeah, how do we say your opponents don't have your best interest in mind and then still get people into the format?
Right, like unless there's like your opponents don't have your best interest in mind unless there's no money on the line. If there's money on the line and we paid money to be here, they don't really have your best interest in mind in game. After a game, of course, everyone's nice and fun and having a good time. That's part of it, but everyone's trying to win the game. But like casual CEDH is different, where like in a game of casual CEDH,
You're right.
I'm gonna
You're
make sure
right.
I let you know when you can win the game if you have somehow missed your line or something.
You're right. This and this. So I take everything I said back. So because this shouldn't outline what to expect in a cEDH tournament. This should outline what to expect in a casual cEDH setting. So I don't want it to say anything about politicking and your opponent's not having your best interest in mind, because that's not what it's like when I sit down for a game with someone I've never played with on the channel. Like when we collab with people, that's not what it's like. When I play with people at MagicCon, I'm not like, I mean, we still politic, but at the same time, if I see that you have a win, I'm going to say,
tell you what it is.
no,
Like,
do that now. You can win now, right? Yeah, like I'm not.
I'll definitely say like, oh, I have been holding up awkward mana like that. You know, like I'll help you out a little bit in those
I'm
situations.
more willing to show cards for a joke, right?
Right,
In these
do the funny
situations.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like there's a big difference between like the settings, I think, and I'm glad that this outlines the casual setting, which is 99% of the cEDH that you're going to play.
Do you think that there should be a caveat added at some point of like there exists an aspect of CEDH that is specifically tournament minded, where your opponents don't have your best interest in mind, and although positivity is encouraged, they will still try to trick you into making. Like, how do you word that? Is there worth like a caveat of like TEDH?
No, because I
tournament?
think that's just part of competitiveness in general. I like think about VGC. There's politics in VGC, but you just don't talk. And what you do is you bait someone into thinking that they have a super effective move against your mon, but instead you switched out, you protected, right? You did something that was out of the ordinary to get them to do something, right?
That's just part of competitive spirit.
You got them to use their protect so that way you got a free move into them on their next move, right? Yeah, it's just part of competitiveness, is like trying to get your opponents to do certain things so that way you can come out on top. And in VGC, you don't have the ability to talk to your opponents, but nothing in Commander says that you can't use your words to talk to your opponents. Politicking is something that's available, so trying to get your opponent to use their interaction on something you don't want to use your interaction on
is so important,
and is something that you're allowed to do. And I don't think something that has to be explained in the casual document. When you buy a game of Pokemon, that's not something that's told to you, right? I think that there should still be some aspects that like help you get into it a little bit more. If that makes sense.
a lot of sense. Yeah,
show me, don't tell me.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I was just gonna say they did talk about the potential of adding a 6th bracket. What I'm talking about is not like there should be a TDH bracket and a CEDH bracket. In fact, I think the 6th bracket thing is kind of funny because we're going to be at 10 brackets back in no time.
Keep going back, yeah.
I think that's silly. Just like have the 5 brackets and just like continue to more welly define them over time. I think this is a big improvement from before. Not that it was bad before, but I think this is a big improvement, and there probably are still minor improvements that will need to be made. But Do you think that's loud? Do you think they can hear that?
I think that's pretty loud. Yeah, what is that?
Someone's
Is that
like mowing the lawn or something?
with like 80 mowers?
With 80 mowers. Yeah, that guy, I see him out there. He goes with 80 mowers. He just stacks
And he
them
just
on top of each other.
other.
Yeah, well, some are on top. He goes 2 on each feet, 2 lawnmowers
Oh,
on each
okay.
feet.
I was gonna say because that's
And
way more
2
efficient.
on each, 2 on each hand. He's about 10 feet high. This guy.
Okay.
10
And he
feet
just
tall.
like walks like a dog on his lawn.
Well, he kind of like he just mows everything in his path.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like he's like a Titan and he's like swiping
yeah,
something.
he's the lawnmower titan.
The lawnmower Titan. That's like a weird combination of Chainsaw Man and Attack on Titan.
Yeah, exactly. Did they talk about anything else in this little
Yeah,
article?
there's a couple changes to the game changers list, but that doesn't really affect cEDH. I don't think food chain's a game changer anymore. I think that's really the only thing that I care
it's
about.
safe from bans. Hell yeah.
Safe from bans for right now. So
Deflecting SWAT deflecting SWAT's not good. So when I cast this, I'm gonna say this card's
This card's not good.
It's not even a game changer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
don't do anything
I'm
about
gonna
it.
use that as a political of like. I don't even have any game changers in my hand.
I have no, and I'm gonna.
No game changers in my hand.
That's so funny. Yeah, but that's pretty much the stuff that matters to me the most.
Yeah, I think so too. Overall, like we said a couple times at this point, this is all hypothetical. I don't think any change is necessary. I personally think cEDH is in a cool spot, but we have, a different perspective from other people, obviously. I would always love more rather than less. I don't think we should take the bans should happen, but if they did happen, I don't think it'd be a big deal. And I think we would adapt, and that would be a cool, fun new cEDH metagame that I would probably be pretty excited about.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I'm not going to be completely upset and broken if these cards get banned, even though one deck that I play wouldn't be, really playable anymore after.
Yeah, to be Malcolm would have a hard time.
But, there's still other decks that would give me the chance to, explore the format more. I don't know. It just kind of harkens back to, like, what happened with Dockside and Mana Crypt. Like, it really wouldn't be that different from that. It's just, there's no point in banning what we think is the best thing, because what's after this then? Like, it was Mana Crypt and Dockside Extortionist and Jeweled Lotus, right? Now it's going to be, Thassa's Oracle and Rhystic Study. Then after this, it's going to be Underworld Breach and whatever else people think is unfair then, right? And all of a sudden, we're only going to have Universes Beyond cards to play with. So...
We're going to say, we dug our own grave! No!
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I mean, if Rhystic Study did get banned, all the turbo decks would get a lot better. So, like, that would be good for us. Atali
For
would be great.
Atali's
Like,
sake,
that'd be awesome.
ban all these cards for Atali's
right?
sake,
Yeah.
honestly, yeah.
I don't. You have anything else to say? No,
that's it.
Okay, thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Tom Bieber, Cumulative Upkeep MTG, Nathan Cohen, Mr. Jerby, The Cardboard Cookbook, Okie Toad, Penguin Man 0089, Eli the Magic Guy, David Newman, Johnny Denver Omelet, Iraqi Hall, Pat Fires, Frogman, Spengler, Demetrius, Clark, Larceny Roy, Zorboy Blue, Sparky B, Insomnia, SC Phillip, Only Groupie, Zach Hartley, Big Legs, Banjo, Reactive, Shauna the Ice, Scarebear Garrett, Mace the Ace, Alex Smith, Luke Cook, Connor Sipon, Joshua Day, Peter Stewart, Corner Wild, Uncle Butts, Noosh, Kwaje, Hamid, Scott Hawk, and Baby G-Bus.
If you want to pick up any of our merch, you can do that at playtowinmtg.com.
Thank you, Dragon Shield, for supporting the show. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at our affiliate link down below for 5% off.
Follow us on the internet for more content.
Thank you for watching.
See you next time.
Mike H, McSaucy, Mac McComber, Meta, Fred's Dead, Ben Finelli, Jason Brooks, Zephyrius, Ash Wayne, Dan Hart, The Man Hart, Sarcastic, Mystic Muffin Man, Zachary Coulson, Dalton Poteet, Justin Young, Wild Fang, Thomas Bueno, and David Nelson.